I am indeed.
Right, welcome Scott McGready, and I pronounced his surname correctly.
Welcome to BeerCon 25.
But
Thanks
we're
for
on
having me.
25. Thanks for joining us. So, Scott, do us a quick favour and tell us who you are and what you do.
So obviously my name's Scott. I do briefly, kind of vaguely infosec based stuff. I tend to spend a lot of my time doing public talks. I work occasionally with law enforcement, although that came to a dramatic end in February. And I do some education pieces, which is always fun. And I shout at people on Twitter. That's probably where people know me mostly from.
Okay, but you've got in the spirit of Christmas, Scott, because you've got a festive hat on your avatar.
I have. I even switched on early this year.
Yeah, I'm impressed with that. I think more people should do this. It took me a while to encourage the beer farmers to do it, and so far only Ian's managed it with a horrible monster from your worst nightmares with a Santa hat on. But yeah, it's the thought that counts.
More people in Santa hats. That's what we need.
Agreed. Just to take you back a couple of minutes or a couple of seconds, you said you worked with law enforcement up until February this year when it came to a dramatic end. Could you? Is there anything you can tell us about that drama?
Were you named in an indictment?
Well, that's the question, really, isn't it?
Oh no, absolutely. There's ton of that. Someone said on the Discord the other day, he is the drama around this thing. Basically, the idea was we were part of a voluntary organization called CSCV, and the idea was to bring technology into policing and try and update it because policing is so far behind. It's not even funny anymore. And the real losers out of this are the general public. We've seen it all the time with, big law enforcement Twitter accounts saying, hey, look out for the green padlock. And you're sitting there going, no, that's not how it works. And we have to try and educate them. And it took a long time to try and get into law enforcement and say, hey, you're giving out the wrong advice here. And it's actually making people less safe as a result. Can we fix that? And we did a good job for a couple of years until basically we got funding. And then when we got funding, non-technical managers took over, get paid 650 quid a day to literally run out of passwords, quote unquote, and run the program, which was it's sad really, because the real losers here are the people that were part of the program. We had some amazing folks, like amazing from 17-year-old students right up to like 60-year-old police chiefs who just wanted to do some good work. We lost all of that in a heartbeat because people just didn't get it. It's really sad.
Is there anything that we could try to do as a community to try bring that back? I mean, ultimately, as you said, that it's the general public that are being impacted. So as a community, what can we do to help?
Absolutely. Just keep doing what we're doing. We seem to be great at publishing articles and stuff. I think some of we spoke about it earlier, some of the scaremongering that kind of goes on, or the clickbaity stuff. Yeah, that's good for getting the kind of public's interest to click in an article and go, hey, I should be really using a password manager. Hey, have I been pawned is actually safe and it's not a scam. But just kind of educating people and going out and saying, hey, have you seen this? This is a new thing that's out there. Literally 2 weeks ago, I was in the Netherlands demonstrating a sextortion tool, which is basically just a web bot you can control and join any video chat and basically make people on the other end believe that person's real. And a lot of fraudsters will use it in basically sextortion to extort a victim. And sadly, a lot of people don't realize that that is possible or what it looks like. And I put something together just to kind of demonstrate it so that people will go, oh, that's what it looks like. Because you guys know what it's like. You speak to a non-technical person, you say, right, here's how SSL works, here's how this works. They lose interest within 10 seconds. Yeah. But if you show them something nice and shiny that's got, someone on camera doing something, holy crap, they sit there and they go, oh, that's what it looks like. I now understand this. So just make it simple for people and just simplify it, build some stuff and put it out there and just say, hey, this is what it kind of looks like. This is what you need to protect against. And I think that would work.
Because, I mean, do you think we as an industry focus too much, like you already mentioned, like SSL, focus too much on the technical details rather than, hey, this is how it's going to affect you?
I think, yeah, kind of. I think those chats are really, really important. I think it's worthwhile for the general public to see that even you just mentioned there, the beer farmers fight amongst themselves all the time. And that's good because that means that people care about what decisions they're making and they're making sure that there's a bit of transparency. Or, if you say to someone, hey, I really want to do this thing, and you say, no, I don't agree with that. And they go, okay, and just sit back down, it means you weren't invested in the original decision in the first place. I think we need more of that. But for the general public, I think we need to try and make it a bit more accessible to them. And I don't know quite how we can do that. I think just chatting with them and saying, hey, what would you want out of this? Because the amount of times I speak to members of the public and they say, I'm terrified. I don't even want to turn on a laptop anymore. That's sad. We need to move into a world where they can feel safe to use technology without overcomplicating it by going, hey, make sure you've got your SSL stuff updated and this, and download all the patches, but it still can be hacked. And it's, we tend to scaremonger a little bit. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. I don't know.
I want to go back to that issue of scared to turn the laptop on, because more and more banking and government services are only really accessible via a computer device, and that has a chilling, sort of a chilling consequence for the accessibility of these services, right? Through the computer. If the computer can't be trusted, then the services can't be trusted. And then I think the other thing too is it really, if the internet is truly, a very scary proposition for people, they end up being almost a second-class citizen,
Yeah, no, I totally get that. So there was a few conversations I had with someone recently where it was basically we spent about an hour bitching about banks. We just spent about an hour bitching about banking systems and how just crap they were. And if you go into any bank, I won't name their names, but any modern quote unquote traditional bank, if you go on the website, it's crap. And you spend 45 minutes trying to log in. You have to get a card reader. You need to do a bunch of other stuff. That's why all the digital challenger banks are really cool, because they kind of get it. But again, there's no branches for that. So it kind of cuts out this massive section of elderly people that are not able to use this technology in that way for whatever reason, whether they disagree with it, whether they're physically unable. It does kind of almost kind of segregate them off, and then we leave those people behind. I think the challenger banks are thinking about those people. The modern banks are just kind of steaming forwards with their really shitty service, really crappy website, really crappy things that just don't really work properly, and they just go, yeah, well, that's just modern technology and you just have to deal with it. No, that's not quite how it works. We need to get better at that. I can see the chat mentioning squirrels constantly. This is awesome.
Well, do you know anything about the squirrels? What they mean?
So for people that don't know, I have a brief obsession with squirrels. If you check my Twitter, there is literally about 5% infosec content and 95% are just pictures of my squirrel, basically. And that's not a euphemism. I just want to point that out.
When you say a brief obsession,
yeah, well, I say
how brief?
Yeah, that was just total bullshit. It's a very big obsession. It's a big obsession. I love squirrels.
Now, do you love them from the infosec perspective, i.e., that a lot of events, cybersecurity events, have been attributed to the sacrifice of a squirrel?
Yes. So if people aren't familiar, if you go to, I think it's cybersquirrel1.com, it tracks all the major cyber attacks that have been basically started or attributed to squirrels, or bats, I think is another one, and badgers on various, and raccoons as well. This is a serious thing. And if you do read up on, I think, Wikipedia, there is an article about squirrels, and there is a section about cyber attacks where they took down NASDAQ twice. So I think this is a serious problem. We need to consider squirrels to be the biggest threat to infosec and security that we've ever
Only the Iranian squirrels.
Only
let's be clear.
What about the North Korean squirrels?
Well, the North Korean squirrels only seem to work in the northern part of the states.
Advanced persistent mammal.
Indeed.
Fantastic. So I'm assuming, without going away and Googling it, which I'm going to do afterwards, the squirrel problem stems from them, eating through cables, data cables, power cables, or are they actually doing SE and breaking into data centers? And
yeah, I mean, so
look, he's so cute.
They're on a hat, they're putting on the glasses, they're they're kind of breaking in through the back door. No, they're literally just chewing through cables.
Wow.
Which is fantastic, because that kind of highlights like a threat model that no one anticipated.
Yes.
You know, we're always super, super concerned, and it kind of harks back to public protection. We're always super concerned about serious threats, but we never consider the simple stuff. Well, we do, but you know, we don't tend to pass that on to the public. I've been in lectures with some amazing, amazing young people, students, and I've said to them, here's a credit card with £50,000 on it. Go and build me the best security system you can. And they're always coming up with these amazing, amazing ideas, which is great. And then you go, yeah, but you know, I can just walk in there with a baseball bat and turn the machine off.
Well,
Mhm.
fine.
You just see their face go, oh shit, yeah, that's a big problem. You're like, well, we should be thinking about the simplistic one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd just like to go back to a point you made earlier, Scott, about the arguing within the industry and people, you know, not seeing eye to eye on topics such as SSL and password management and all that kind of stuff. You know, it's something we've talked about in the Bear Farmers, and it's something I'm personally interested in doing in the next 12 months is kind of not necessarily doing much in the way of InfoSec conferences and that kind of stuff, because it is a bubble and we are kind of preaching to the converted a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are people that want to argue for the sake of it and whatever. But in order to break out of the industry and into the world, then you've got to start doing the kind of things that Jess and FC are doing. And that's taking it into schools
Yeah.
and places like that and into community groups and educating people on not what SSL is, because who gives a shit about that, right?
Yeah.
About and not what's the green padlock all about, because as we well know, the green padlock has become a thing of the past anyway. But about the concepts of staying safe online.
Well, that's something I actually do is I go to schools quite a bit, and I do give basically lectures to every year group, and some of the stuff that I talk about is I always start it with the same statement, and it's I remember being at school, and I was probably around 5th year, so I was probably around 16 years old, and I remember that Neighbourhood Watch Scotland came to our school. And this is the time where mobile phones just came out, and they said, we don't really understand these things, but we hear that there's some creepy men that can phone you and stuff, so don't use a mobile phone. And that was their whole safety talk about mobile phones. It lasted for an hour. Yeah. And I always go into schools thinking, hey, look, you know, I come from this industry. I know the risks, I know the benefits, but here's all the ways that I've fucked up throughout the years, right? Here's all the stupid shit I've done. I've put pictures of me sitting on top of a TV studio's sign the week, that was my profile picture on Facebook for about a year, the week that a TV show I was doing with that very TV company went out on air, and I got a call from the director saying, you better remove that now. Yeah, that was a fun time. But I show that to the kids to go, look, you know, you gotta understand safety, security, it's all fun, but I'm not here telling you what to do. And I'm perfect. You know, I screw up all the time. I tweet my location constantly, especially if I'm in a squirrel park. I'm going to tweet my location. You know, and it's good to get through to kids and young people and say, hey, you know, here's what to do in terms of safety. And at the end, you always get people coming up going, hey, so I have this weird message and I'm not sure who to go to. And you're like, well, why haven't you spoken to parents or teachers? And like, because they just don't get it. They don't understand technology. They're like, what's Snapchat? No, I don't use it. Ban it. I think that's really sad.
Yeah, agreed. So it's just about doing the right things and knowing what your risk profile is at the end of the day. And I think everybody has a different risk profile. You know, we'll talk about the chances of you being hacked as an individual are potentially different than if you're an information security professional, or if you're a sysadmin that works in a business, or if you're a politician. You know, everybody's got a different risk profile at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I'd also add to that, everyone's got a different appetite for risk.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting. Some of I'm going to talk about the students again. When you speak to some of the students, some of them have actually approached me when I'm like, look, you know, you just be very aware that, you know, your data's out there and stuff. And then they come up to you and say, hey, I've heard that, you know, people are selling data in the dark web. And you're like, okay, fair enough. I'm not really keen on this concept, but go for it. And they say, can we make some money out of that? Can I sell my own data? And that's something that I never considered, that someone wanted to actively basically dox himself to make a bit of money. So it's quite interesting to see these kids think about security a wee bit differently. Go, I don't care. Yeah, just about. I don't care that my shit's out there. It's going to be out there eventually. So can I make some money off it?
It's funny that because I had a similar experience. I went to a local school that we do a little bit of work experience stuff with and all that kind of thing. And I went with a colleague who's our network engineering manager, and he did a talk about our core network and all this kind of stuff. And then I stood up and introduced myself and said, "Oh yeah, I made a mistake. It was fundamentally schoolboy error in a school," and said, "Hi, my name's Mike, and I'm a hacker."
Yeah.
Which was a shit thing to do. I thought it just impressed the kids, and it did. The problem was arms went up in the air immediately. All these boys, and it was all boys, by the way, who said, "Can you show me how to hack my mate?"
Oh.
Yeah.
And that was the immediate reaction to that. And I said, "Well, I could do, but then that would be breaking the law." But yeah, that was the prevailing attitude, I think, with a lot of young kids, is that it is all hacky and breaking into stuff and getting your ex's Facebook account and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's nothing to do with that. It's all about preserving your own situation.
And making things better for everybody else. That's where I
Agreed.
sit. Let's make things better for everybody. And, I know we have a drama channel, but let's
What, Twitter?
Oh yeah, that's basically the drama channel. Let's stop that. I mean, it's good to have arguments. It's good to fall out with people because it means that you're thinking about things and you're actually going, hey, is this the right thing that we're doing? But let's actively work together as a community. This is a great community, and yeah, let's make it better.
Are you suggesting that we refrain from personal attacks?
No, not at
Okay,
all.
good. All right.
Not at all. Please
That's
direct all
just going
abuse to
over
me.
the line. Yeah. Goodness.
All right, Scott. So give us a flavour of some of the stuff you're going to be doing in the next 12 months.
Okay, more lectures. Basically more lectures, trying to build more education-based talks. I will be doing lectures at university, some undergrad stuff, but also in schools. I'm going to still be pushing away at the whole kind of chipping away at the old law enforcement block to try and go, hey, here's what this is, here's how it works, here's how you can explain it to the public. Although I don't have the official backing of anybody now, I don't really care. I'm still going to do it. It makes me feel good. So, and people are very, very receptive to that within the law enforcement community. So I'm absolutely pushing that forward. Aside from that, probably just shit posting and taking pictures of squirrels. That's my
fantastic.
Excellent stuff. Excellent. Anybody else got a question for Scott? We've got a comment which has come on the Twitch. Somebody said, Scott, your thoughts are interesting and they're inspired. So that's
good.
That person is clearly drunk.
It is 2:30, so it is well past the traditional start time of UK beverages.
That's a good point. Another question's coming from Emily Overton, who was a guest on earlier on, and her question is, what is your favorite name for a squirrel?
Squiggle.
Squiggle.
That's
squirrel.
adorable.
Yeah. Oh no, I talk like a child. It's helicopter. Yeah, I can't stop myself saying helicopter instead of helicopter. I talk like a child. It should be very obvious.
So when is your InfoSec children's book featuring Squilly the squirrel?
Squiggle
the squirrel.
That's actually a great idea. I never thought about that. I should write an InfoSec book about Squiggly the squirrel.
You absolutely should, for children.
Ian, you just invented an industry.
Not really. No. I just took out the domain name though.
Cool.
For Squiggle Squirrel. So I'll sell it to you.
It's fine because the bear farmers are quite a benevolent band.
We are, yeah.
And so for the gift of the idea of the industry, we'll only take 20%.
I was about to say, I was going to say 10%, but 20%.
Okay.
This is going to be one of those, the InfoSec equivalent of go the fuck to sleep, isn't it?
I love the idea that what you do in a negotiation is just say, the money is not important. What's important is it's for the children.
Aww.
Huh? Isn't that good?
I just want to say, by the way, guys, say we have hit £5,000.
Oh my God. That is amazing. Thank you. And that was Scott, I bet, because of his great content.
Yeah, well, all the comments that have come in with the donations, we've got £90 from Kirsten.
Yeah.
Coffee Cup Ambush, £25. Ralph, £25. Anonymous, £27. They put us a little comment for the squirrels.
Yes.
Go
squirrels.
Kristen.
That's amazing.
Listen, Scott, awesome chatting with you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure having you on. Thanks ever so much, mate. All the best.
Cheers.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.